Where's everyone watching this from today? I'm very curious. I will open the chat today, actually. Usually we don't always do this, but I'm gonna open the chat for a little bit today just so you guys can tell us where you're watching from as I get this set up on YouTube. Almost there. Okay, we are live. I see a lot of new names today, which is Margaret, Mohammed, Pragya. See some new names. It's 12 a.m., Mohammed. Oh my goodness. Thank you for joining us at
Good to see
such
you.
a late hour. We appreciate it. Hi, Taha. Welcome back. Um, we have, again, like I said before, a very special guest. Sarah, you want to introduce yourself
Sure,
to the
absolutely.
group?
Lovely to see you all here, and I'll echo what PJ said about 11 p.m. midnight. Very impressed, very impressed. My name is Sarah Granberg Rademacher. That's a mouthful. The big thing to know is I'm Sarah GR if you prefer. And I have the great privilege of working in academic advising and talking to you today about your registration experience as new students.
Yay. Um, Bangladesh. Okay, really cool. Welcome in. I'm gonna share my screen right now, and then Sarah, whenever you like me to move forward, I can
Okay,
go ahead and do that.
excellent.
Okay.
7:05 p.m. in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you for joining us at such odd hours. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm gonna go full screen, sorry.
You're fine. No, thank you very much for joining us. It's always interesting to understand. I think I know the different time zones, and then I watch things like this and go, oh no, you all have a far better grasp on how different the timing is. Well, welcome. My job today is to talk you through a common question we get from incoming students, which is, how am I going to get signed up for my classes? So we want to kind of break that down for you a little bit because we do it in an intentional way, but when you're coming in and you're being bombarded with lots of information, it's hard to kind of keep track of this. But this is an area that we get a lot of questions about. So with that, PJ, would you mind advancing the slide?
Oh,
Excellent. Oh,
no.
actually, two was fine because I realized the agenda just said what I already told everyone, which is we're
Oh, yeah.
here to talk about registration today. So before you come to campus, well, there's a few steps you need to take. Those of you who are new students who just graduated from the US equivalent of high school, if you don't have any transfer work, there's nothing else you need to do. However, if you are coming from an international post-high school uh, educational institution, you have college, university transfer work from outside the US, we do need you to take some additional steps. And that is we want your international credits to be evaluated through ECE, the educational credentialing. Uh, it- Funny, I can't remember what the last E means, but in any case, the educational credentialing body that takes a look at your credits. They do charge money for this. And I'm sorry about that. We tried to find ways that we could avoid that. But the good news is if you invest that money now to get your credits evaluated, we're going to save you money being here because then we're going to have a firmer grasp on what you already have done and what you have left. We have students who sometimes can't get this done ahead of time, and we do the best we can with advising them, but it's really hard to know without those credentials being evaluated already. As mentioned, copies of your transcripts and course syllabi are really helpful. And I see that how the syllabus are hard to find at this point. Sometimes institutions do have those available. So now would be a better time than waiting, if you can, to submit those. But if you go to the ECE website, you can get more information about the next steps you need to take to have that evaluation done. Transcripts and syllabi help us get more information. And so if needed, if they've already worked with students who've come from your institution, it may not be as big a deal. But if they haven't and they need more specifics, that's when you can expect follow-up on these other pieces. Go ahead, PJ. We also think it's a good time for you to look around at your major. So if you have a major in mind, and most of you probably do, I know it's required for your I-20 among other things, we'd have you go to the mnsu.edu website. And once you're there, I just type in the search bar academic catalog, and you'll get a sense of the catalog. And the catalog, yep, there you go. Like PJ is showing you, this is our academic catalog. It is only available online, which is actually really convenient when you're coming from half a world or a world away. And what I want you to do is look for the name of the major you plan to study. And when you look at the major, you're going to click on that link, and it's going to give you a list of all the classes that are required. And it's going to talk to you about within those classes whether or not you have to take a prerequisite or a class before you get into that particular one. And so, really getting to look at the catalog, what that will do is it's going to give you a sense of whether or not that's the program that you really intended for it to be. Because no matter whether you are from the US or you are from abroad, sometimes confusion exists about what a major is, what the program of study is. That's not uncommon for any of our students. But if you can help yourselves out by just going to the MSU website ahead of time, type in academic catalog, go here, and start looking at the majors you're considering. Because you were admitted for the 25-26 academic year, you are going to follow the 25-26 academic catalog. If needed, you can potentially change your catalog once you get here, but for the most part, we are expecting that students, when they come in, that first semester of admission corresponds with the catalog they're following. Go ahead, PJ. So that's what needs to happen before you get here. When you get here, here's a lot of different steps you're going to take. But what I'm talking to you today is just about the class stuff, right? Getting signed up for your first semester as Mavericks. When you get here, many of you will probably be encouraged to take the math or the English or the English placement tests. Math and English placement tests allow us to get a sense of where you need to start for your program. It's not uncommon for students, both domestic and international, to need a little brush up on math. English, we don't see that placement, those placements change as often, but our goal with the placement test is not that you be really, really prepared for the test, because if you spend time preparing for it, we may place you into a more advanced class than what you're really ready for. Our goal with the placement test is to kind of take a snapshot and say, okay, where are you at right now? And let's get you registered for the right class that corresponds with how you do on that placement test. I'm sad and sorry that we have to do that right when you get here, because that is a lot. We know that. And at the same time, I will tell you that generally speaking, the scores we see students earn don't change dramatically, whether or not you're jet lagged and you're totally stressed, or you've taken the test in the most ideal conditions. The scores don't change terribly dramatically. So we really encourage you to, when you get here, be ready to take that. Depending on what information we already have for you and or what major you're pursuing is going to help us decide whether or not you need to do that English and math placement test. And we'll want you to do the English and math placement test very soon after you arrive. So stay tuned, because that will definitely come up right away. After that, you're going to have some different things to do through the orientation process, but you'll get back to meeting with an academic advisor. Your academic advising team is going to meet with you all the students who are interested in the same major, to provide some basic context and to just give you some educational background for what you can expect being joining our Maverick family in terms of your educational courses. After you meet with that team on a Wednesday, the following Thursday is when you'll get signed up for your classes. You'll come as a group, but you will have people walking around to check on you who will have prepared ahead of time. That's why it's absolutely essential to come to the Wednesday meeting, so that we know you're here and we can plan for you. And then you come again on Thursday to get registered, to make sure that we're giving you the best possible information so you can set up for success during your fall semester. After you go through these processes, we are going to assign you to an advising team. That advising team will be assigned based on what major you're studying. And we assign you to a team so that if it's most important for you to get in right away with somebody, you can get in with anyone. If it's most important to you that you get to meet with the same person, because that's been really valuable, you meet with the same person. But that team is meant to walk alongside you during your first year here at Minnesota State Mankato, and help you out when it comes to classes and choosing next steps. If you run into any bumps or hurdles along the way with your classes, to talk you through the options. They're a really well-educated group of folks who are here to help support you. Please when you're meeting with these folks at orientation and beyond, pay attention to what they're telling you. They're telling you the information they have because they think it's absolutely best for you and your journey here. We know that there are a lot of communities of students who make connections with each other, and we are all for those connections, except when those connections trump advisors' information. Sometimes new friends or returning friends or sisters or brothers or cousins or whomever, you think they might have your best interests in mind, but they don't know the curriculum as well as the folks that you're going to be connected with. So please stick with your advisor's information whenever possible. We know your friends mean well, we know your sisters and brothers mean well, but unfortunately, they don't do this work all the time. And so they may not run into your specific case. So you want to make sure you're talking to your academic advisor, the folks you meet right away at orientation, about things. Go ahead, PJ. After orientation, we are going to have you continue to meet with those academic advisors when you have challenges or bumps along the way, when you need to get registered for your following semester, when you have questions and concerns that impact your educational experience. So that's why it's really cool that right away at orientation, you get to meet them, get connected to them, because you're going to need them later on as well. So we're going to be working with you to walk alongside you as you pursue your education as Mavericks. Go ahead, PJ. Thank you. This is good reminders that you just need to keep in mind. And PJ, feel free to amplify anything I'm going to say here. Orientation starts Monday, August 18th and runs through Friday, August 22nd. Classes start the following Monday. One of the things that we hear from students often is first week doesn't matter. And we're quick to say, yes, the first week matters a whole heck of a lot. It matters very much. And so we want to make sure that we're setting you up for success. So participating in orientation, that 18th through the 22nd, gives us good reason to think that you've gotten everything you need to be prepared to have a good first semester here at Minnesota State Mankato. You'll note here it says that you need to arrive on or before August 17th, and that's so you can fully participate in orientation experience. The earliest that you are allowed to come enter the US is July 19th. So those are some pretty key dates to keep in mind as we're moving forward. PJ, are there other things that you want to add?
No, I think you hit the point right on is just remember that as you're getting ready, if you haven't bought your flights, like your tickets yet, just know that you will not be able to enter the US before July 19th. So be very mindful about the tickets you're purchasing right now. Start looking at housing. Again, I know that we've had a lot of questions about registering for classes, so Sarah is here to answer those questions for you. So if you have any questions, now is a good time. I saw some of you guys were raising your hands when Sarah was doing the presentation. So if you had any questions, please leave it in the chat. It's a lot easier for us to get to those questions, but it looks like there are some questions. Hosea says, really nice to meet you. The syllabus are going to be really hard to find at this point. If you're talking about individual courses, those are going to be given to you by your professors during your first week of classes.
I think PJ, that came when we were talking about the ECE and the importance of ECE will walk you through what you're needed to provide, and the transcripts will be essential. They may ask for follow-up on syllabi, and if you need to get the syllabus, what we encourage students at least here to do is reach back out to their school and sometimes their instructor. Emanuela, I cannot guarantee you that you'll need them. So what I would say is just do the best you can with what you have. And so go on to ECE's website, start working through that credentialing process. And if you need more information, do the best you can to provide those. But when you can't, we're going to do the best we can on this end, right? To just hopefully find you appropriate coursework. We just would like you to be able to avoid taking classes if you've already taken them before. And this is the way we can do that. And then Rana Ali, I see biology. You want to enroll in an MD program. MCAT requires certain classes to register for the class. Yes, counselors, your academic advisors can help you with that piece too. In fact, Rana Ali, you would be meeting with the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology advising team. And they are a team who knows that information and can help link you to faculty who also know more about that information, the medical requirements, and so forth. Traditionally, if you are pre-med, you're not going to be declared a pre-med major. You're going to pick one, and very traditionally, it's a biology major. Um, but then when you're working with that advising team and where you're working with your academic advisor, you just want to be clear about your intention to go to medical school and what steps can you take to be better prepared for the MCAT and other admissions requirements. So yes, that will be part of the advisor's role as you pursue your degree here at Minnesota State Mankato.
There's another question that we have from Talha. Will our tuition and fees show up on e-services after I register for classes?
I believe so.
I
Usually
believe it's the following week.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. I think, well, or at least an overnight after you get registered, it has to come through. But yes, e-services is where all that information lives, and it's a great resource because it's really not complete one-stop shop, but it does provide a lot of good context for you.
Um, we are going to be doing another registration webinar on the 26th of this week at 9 a.m. So I know that if you guys think about any questions during the time being, and you're like, actually, wait, I really need to ask Sarah this, that's a good time to like join in on those because we're just hosting 2 registration webinars. Otherwise, as you guys already know, we do live stream on YouTube, and then the recorded sessions are there for you to go back and rewatch if you joined late or if you had any other questions for the time being. Here are some other upcoming webinars as well that should keep on the radar. If you've already registered for it, amazing. We do have some Instagram lives coming up as well. I do see a chat. It looks like there's another question, maybe.
Yeah, and PJ, I'm hoping you can help with this one. I'm less aware of
Oh,
this.
okay. Can we wire the tuition money to the university directly from our banks? So for if you're wiring money from your home country, we recommend a tool called Flywire. Um, they have a flat rate fee for any money that you're transferring over. So whether you're transferring 5,000 or 10,000, they have a flat fee of $25, which is awesome because transferring fees can be really expensive. So I know that we have it all on our website as well, and I can add that link into the chat for you guys so that you can go and there's steps and instructions that you can follow. So while I'm doing that, did you guys have any other questions for Sarah? How often would you say, Sarah, that you encourage students to meet with their academic advisors?
That's a very good question, PJ. Generally speaking, we want students to meet with their advisors at minimum about once a semester. You're going to meet with your academic advisor for no other reason than to get registered for the following semester. So when you arrive in fall, we will get you signed up for your fall classes. In early October, the schedule for spring will be available, but students will start registering in November for spring classes. And so that is a time that you absolutely will need to meet with an academic advisor. However, our academic advisors follow up with you if we understand that maybe you're struggling in a class because your faculty has told us this, we will reach out to you, or the Kearney International Center will reach out to you. Students, if you realize that you're running into an issue with a class and you're worried about what that might mean for you or want to know what your options are with that class, you can also follow up with us at any time. It's just the key times are usually once a semester if things are going pretty well overall. Also, unless you're a transfer student, you're going to be required to take KSP 106, Education and Culture in the US. And that class is a really great benefit because you're going to be taking that class with other international students who are walking through some of the similar things that you might be encountering. And you will have a professional instructor involved in that course who has walked alongside students in your situations and so can make the most of it and really try to provide you with as much support as possible. So that's another nice resource that we have for you as a campus because it's a really nice way to just be connected from the get-go. So if there are important dates and deadlines and other things to know, you're getting educated about those your first semester. We got a question in the chat. My major is international relations. Do I need an English or math placement test when I arrive at Minnesota State Mankato? You will need the English placement test, Hosea. The English placement test goes across the board for all of our students. Math may not be the case because the international relations major is part of our political science program, and political science does not have a particular math class you need to take, so you probably won't have to do that. Do I need to bring original and level certificates with me, high school certificates of grades, or can we bring virtual copies? I did submit them during admission. Rana, or PJ, do you have any more information? I don't believe that we need the originals if we've already had the virtual ones sent. Is that
Yes.
accurate?
Yeah, if you've already been admitted to the university, you've already submitted those, you don't necessarily need to bring them with you, but it's also not always a bad idea to have the originals with you just in case you need them here. So feel free to bring them with you, but again, we will not be needing to look at it during orientation check-in if that's where your question is going.
And Rana Ali and the anonymous attendee, if you are doing a biology major or your pre-med, you will be needing to do the math placement test. Sometimes if we have, like if you took the SAT in your home country, we can sometimes use that, but we generally will try to get students to take the math placement test just to make sure that we have the most current information. I will tell you that generally speaking, we're going to use whatever places you highest as much as we can. One of the challenges of the placement test is if you take the placement test on a Monday, you can't take it again for 2 weeks. So it's not like you're going to retake it right away. And that is because we have found that it doesn't make a significant difference for the students impacted. So we don't want to spend a lot of time with you in testing. We want to just make sure we get you signed up for those classes. PJ, I see another question in the chat. International student from Bangladesh, 10th grade transcript, currently in the 7th semester of my diploma program. Do you have more information for that?
Yes, I would actually encourage you to reach out to our admissions processor. So I will respond with the email that you should be emailing and just kind of send them the information that you just mentioned here, and then they will be able to respond to you with the most updated requirements and what else you'd need to submit. So I'm going to send that over to you since we're focusing more on registering during orientation right now. Someone did say what to do after arriving at the US. Attend orientation. That's going to be the first and foremost thing. Obviously, moving into your apartment or wherever you have decided to sign a lease. Rana said, does IELTS substitute for the English test, and what score would be enough?
Let me brush up real quick. I believe the IELTS test does work, but I have to take a quick look at what our English placement test scores are. So let me do a quick check. And if there are other questions in the meantime, while I'm double checking my information, you all can ask additional questions.
Very good questions, by the way, guys. It's important to ask these questions as you gear into get here. Orientation is generally a very overwhelming experience, and so just the fact that you guys are attending and kind of brushing up on what you need to know is very good.
And back to the question about the IELTS. We take the IELTS, we need a score of 6 or above with the IELTS test. And we need to have that one on document. We need it documented here. So hopefully you've already submitted those scores when you applied here. If not, we would need an official record of those scores in order to allow you to start with English 101. Or if you've already placed high enough with the IELTS, you might just take the placement test here too. And then when you take it, odds are decent that if you did well in the IELTS, you're probably going to do fine with our local placement test as well.
Tala asked, what about Duolingo?
Duolingo is also used, and the Duolingo score that we currently look for is a 105 to take English 101 your first semester. Good questions.
Mm-hmm. Is the math placement exam an exam of overall math concepts of our 12th grade or not?
Good question. It's been a minute. Usually my colleague Riley is here too, and she knows these tests better than I do. So just give me a second. We use a test called the AccuPlacer here. AccuPlacer, we have a lot of students, both domestic and international, who don't take math their senior year in high school, and they end up taking the AccuPlacer and generally seem to do pretty well. Looking to see if I can find out any specific information to tell you what it covers. I don't have that information readily available.
I would also encourage you guys to reach out to placement testing. I can pull up their email. I'll put that in the chat for them, Sarah, so that they can
Thank
reach out
you.
to placement testing. Because yeah, Riley would have the most accurate and up-to-date information. So let me do that right now. Here's also an FAQ page for the placement testing department, which I will also put in the chat. So this is the FAQ page of their most frequently asked questions. So most likely the questions that you have in mind for placement testing is likely going to be on there. Otherwise, reach out to placement testing and they can certainly help you with your answer.
And that goes to Rana, specifically the question you raised about your IELTS test. If you want to go ahead and follow the links that PJ's put in the chat to look at the frequently asked questions page and or email the testing center, they'll be able to help answer that question more specifically. Biology and biological science, yes, are the same program. Biological science, I think, is the one we officially use in all of our catalog and related things, but biology is the abbreviation we oftentimes use for it.
Hosea, recommend a specific flight for its intended student, or where is the port of entry? We do not have a specific flight that we recommend. It really depends on, your budget, the availability. But the port of entry is always the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, and it's going to be usually Terminal 1. We have 2 terminals for the MSP airport. So depending on what domestic flight, if your port of entry was, let's say, Chicago, and you're taking a domestic Sun Country to Minnesota, it's going to land at Terminal 2, but it really depends. Most of our international flights do land at Terminal 1, though. So, and when you're booking your flights, it will tell you exactly where.
The tuition fees are available for civil engineering and other programs are all available on our website. I'm just looking to see to grab that information for you. That would probably be your best bet. They do have you walk through. You'll see on this particular website what kind of student you are. So if you're an international student working on a bachelor's degree, it's going to have you walk through that piece of it. So stay tuned. I will drop that link in the chat.
Thank you, Sarah.
Absolutely. Oops, except for PJ, I'm wrong. I will not directly. I'll drop in the chat to you, but I'm host and panelist, so I can't send it. Sorry.
Oh no.
And while you're,
I did change that. So, actually,
oh,
I will
can I?
change
Oh,
that.
yeah, now I can do it. Got it.
Sorry about that.
No, not
I
a
always
problem
forget there's so
whatsoever.
many buttons that you have to change.
There are. And as for the pre-med question, generally speaking, students who decide to go pre-med and work on a medical doctorate, they end up doing biology, but there are other options. Most of the medical schools in the US don't have a particular major they want you to have. They want a specific curriculum and, as you mentioned, the MCAT scores. And so that's where working with an advisor to decide what's best for you is something you can work on once you get here if you'd like. But if you want to start with biology just to be on the safe side, get some things going, then as you're proceeding through the program, you can make an informed decision about what might be best for you and then take care of your documentation accordingly if you need to make changes.
I'm just checking YouTube to see if anybody has a question there. All good.
And you can absolutely do a minor with a biology major. Depending on what you end up studying, sometimes will determine A, whether or not you have to do a minor, because there are some majors you don't have to. B, if sometimes majors say, yes, you have to do or sometimes majors say, yes, you have to do a minor, pick from these. And other times majors say, hey, yeah, you have to do a minor, you can pick anything. Biology is one of those that might recommend a few things, but it's not a requirement that you have a particular minor. You will need a minor, but it will vary what you need. And with the question, another major with computer engineering, that is a possibility, but I will be honest with you and tell you that the computer engineering major is what we call a broad major and already requires more credits. All the engineering programs require more credits than the general programs. So I would encourage you to start with the computer engineering major, and then you can wait and see if that's something you still want to do, if you want to expand your time here, or if you want to go on to do graduate work instead. So you have some time to figure that out. Documents you need to carry during orientation. It probably wouldn't hurt for you to have a copy of any unofficial transcripts you have if you've taken college level credits while you're abroad. Just because then we can take a look at those things, and sometimes that helps us in case we don't have everything published already. But if at all possible, I would strongly recommend, Tala, that you try to get your transcripts sent over to the Educational Credentialing Evaluation folks, ECE, because that's going to give you the best possible information, and that report will be more usable than your transcripts from another area. That's probably one of the biggest things you need. And if you have any documentation of scores earned, in case we have to try and make exceptions, but if you've submitted scores for IELTS and other things on your way to being admitted here, we hopefully have those already coded for you. And that'll make things smoother with math and English placement as well.
Also, Talha, we also will be hosting an orientation overview session in August. However, again, in addition to what Sarah mentioned, for check-in itself, you would need to carry your passport, like the physical passport copy, your I-20 printed and signed. It must be signed for it to be valid. So if you're traveling already, like just make sure your I-20 is signed. And then again, we will be talking more about what other documents you need to bring with you to orientation during that orientation overview session. But yeah, just keep those transcripts and stuff in mind, like Sarah mentioned. But for check-in itself, we have some other requirements as well. So just keep an eye out. Also, all of this information is also available on the KIC portal. So log in, take a look. And again, if you have any other questions, you can always email us.
With regard to the questions about minor selection, yep, an academic advisor can absolutely work with you to help you pick a minor. The minor is not considered a four-year degree. It's actually not considered a credential. It's wrapped into your degree requirements. And that's why I can say some majors absolutely have to have a minor. Other majors don't at all. It really depends on how many credits, how intense your major program is. But a minor is not a separate credential. It's either wrapped into your degree program or it's not. And so, so you would not be awarded an additional degree for the minor.
The Hosea asked, the I-20 will be signed by who? It's going to be signed by you. So if you already received your I-20, you will see on the I-20 where it says signature, and that's where you would sign and date. Okay. Lots of great questions. Again, we will be doing another session on Thursday. So if you think of any questions between now and Thursday that you are not able to ask today, that's a great time. Sarah will be back again and we will do another registration webinar. But yeah, thank you so much for all of the great questions. Thank you so much, Sarah, for attending and helping our students get ready and set up for success for this fall.
My pleasure. Now some of you need to go to bed.
Honestly, yeah, exactly. And Talha, I know the WhatsApp group I actually want you to try something for me. You guys are already here. There's 16 of you, so I think this is a good start, good place to see if this works. I do have a link to a WhatsApp group. Um, Try and join it right now and see if you're able to join. If you our guys cannot join for some reason, just feel free to let me know. Is there another question? Oh, Marina, that's really wonderful. We are very excited to welcome you. Um, and like you guys, a lot of you guys here already know that I was also an international student like yourself. I came here to Minnesota State Mankato in 2016 as an international student from Nepal. And I got my master's degree at Minnesota State Mankato, and now I work full time at the KIC. And I also remember how terrifying, but also exciting, moving away from home was. It was a big deal. I was also the first in my family to be traveling for a degree, so it's been an experience, and I know that Rana, you're gonna do so amazing because you're already taking the steps that you need to be successful and asking the right questions. So yeah, we're very excited. We have a lot in store, a lot planned. The orientation overview webinar is really gonna go over the agenda, what to expect every week, that particular week. So just make sure you join that as well. All right. Okay, it looks like you guys don't have any other questions. I shared that WhatsApp chat again group in the chat. If that doesn't work for some reason, it's okay, but you guys will get an email from me at some point. It's just been a very chaotic week the past couple weeks, so I have not been able to get this to you guys, and that's my bad, but I am working on it and trying to figure it out. We used to use Telegram before, which was a lot simpler, but we've moved
Hmm.
away from Telegram since because there's just a lot of issues with Telegram. So all right, Tala, it looks like you were able to join. That's awesome. Okay, perfect. With that, thank you so much for joining, Sarah, and everybody. You guys need to go to bed. Bye.
Thank you all.